Good to see you all. I am President Kim. Well, I myself is a scholar and I'm a professor at SNU. And here I am representing Mogam Institute for Biomedical Research. And today I'll talk about technology. Um, I am personally a lay person to investment, but nowadays there are a lot of interesting things going on. And throughout the recent 2 to 3 years of research at my lab, I would like to share some information from Mogam. So everyone knows that developing a new medicine is really difficult. Can AI help developing new medicine? And everyone would say yes. But if you think of it, like you have to work on AI, the computers, or pharmaceuticals and chemistry, among other studies, which is really difficult. So when converging two different studies is really difficult, and if imagine collaborating 5 different studies is really difficult. But if you take a look at the recent news, Amazon or Google or even Amazon, it includes Merck and Pfizer, so they're collaborating. So this is really happening. So last year, when I saw this article on Nature, it says the candidate was created in partnership with Extensia, and it reads: traditional discovery takes 4 to 5 years, and they cut the time down to 8 months, which is very significant. So when you take a look at the research and contract information written on and you found on the research, and if you take a look at a more recent one, there's JP Morgan's healthcare research. I wouldn't say there's a lot of information, but still, you can see some data here. And AI development, in terms of investment or contract, you do see actual results here. Well, then, why do people talk about artificial intelligence based new drug development? There are some factors. Here, we have a lot of chemical data accumulated, and there was a huge development of like biology and informatics. So they are all contained here. And also, there was a high increase of computer technology capacity, like links among others. There are a lot of accumulated data to see um, gene information. So you might have heard of this AlphaFold 2. So AlphaFold 2 solved the secret of the DNA. So that was the one of the biggest achievements of artificial intelligence. I would say this was one. And every so many people don't know that PDB is a database based one. But however, all despite all the massive investment in the past, it hadn't shown a lot of growth. So why are we lacking this information? When you talk about artificial intelligence, people concentrate on like big data too, and technology is really important. People say, but when it comes to AlphaFold 2, through deep learning, so it showed a dramatic performance improvement through the latest deep learning technology. And if you take a look at the graph here, this is a protein projection data. So I wouldn't say there was a drastic increase some year like between 2006 to 2016, but AlphaFold and AlphaFold 2 made a significant leap. And the secret behind here is amino collision. And this gentleman is David Baker, and there was a Korean postdoc researcher and got designated a scientific achiever and currently working at SNU. So nowadays technology is really important. So if you take a look at the mid part, not sure if my laser point is working. If you take a look at the middle one, there's Evo Former, which is the key of Alpha Fold. So this is a transformer. So you must have heard of the term transformer. So what is Evo? Here at the portmanteau, the Evo represents evolution. So this is a good masterpiece of applying this technology. So how important is this? The right picture is what we monitored based on our equipment, and the left one is what we saw with our actual eyes. So not a big difference. So equipments probably has some room for error, and you use computer to analyze, and you use your eyes to analyze, and we can't tell which is which. So which means they're both very close to each other. And now I'll briefly talk about small molecules. So there are decreasing room for conventional ones, but now biologics is increasing more. And from 2021, the rate is getting more flat and flat, as many people might have projected. And when AlphaFold technology was adapted, and what happened to scaffold technology, we would never know. Because like figuring out the secret of protein constructor was our dream, and actually nowadays, thanks to this technology, we're approaching it. So when it comes to small molecule technology, technically, well, I do not have enough knowledge to talk about industrial or economic perspectives, but just on this. Is this technology good enough to provide results to experts? And am going to use some emojis, a smiley face or my sad face to say yes or no. So, question one, here comes a smiley face. The first question is, like, can artificial intelligence help the compound synthesis process? So, based on the data that I have, can I compound synthesis process? So, in that sense, 3 years ago, AlphaGo technology was already used. And here comes a research paper that says planning chemical synthesis with deep neural networks and symbolic AI. If you visit the Merck website, you can see that they released this. So a big pharmaceutical giant like Merck already announced their achievement like this. So this chemistry is making some synthesis. So even if synthesis is possible, it has to be done in an efficient way. So here is our reaction condition recommendation. So accordingly, chemical compounding. Right, when you take a look at this field, AI is showing a significant growth. Well then, well, that was about when there exists our wanted chemistry. But, well then, can artificial intelligence help you design the desired compound? And all the past projects were able, thanks to computer technology, but I would say take a neutral approach to this question. But about 2 to 3 years ago, there was an article, Deep Learning Enables Rapid. So the term rapid here is really important. It goes rapid identification of potent DDR1 kinase inhibitors. So if you take a look at this chart, well, my laser point isn't working properly. Well, that if you set a desired target and if use a DDR1 candidate, if you generate it and prioritize them and compound those with high priorities and measure the time spent on it, it only consumed 46 days. Isn't it amazing? So it's a prototype, but so it doesn't necessarily guarantee for further results, but still significant. Well then, if we did make a chemical compound, well then, it has to be attached to protein, right? Well then, we have to know the protein information. So then how and how far can I know protein's information, which is the target of the drug? And you have to suggest it. And we based on AlphaFold's impact, we will be able to see the alpha impact very soon. Well, then, if we know the information of protein and if we can come up with chemical compounds, then we have to set a target, right? Is it possible to predict the target of a drug? Well, we have to go a long, long way then. A protein has to be compounded, but we still have to conduct research a lot in this field. Well, then, let's suppose a chemical compound was attached to protein, but that does not end there because genes do not work alone. They interact with other genes in a very complex way. And the cells as a whole, like, how are you going to find out the efficacy? Well, during animal tests or clinical tests, there needs are a lot of research, and the United States here, the National Institute of Health, they have conducted some research here, and despite the difficulties, the United States, they have been conducting research for a long period of time. And so, what kind of like results are going to happen in genes? So many people are projecting this field. So if there's a change in genes, and here's a biological network change, which is shown in this image, and when they are applied to drugs and show results, then are they really efficacious or safe? Figuring that out will also require a lot of time. And here comes pharmacokinetics. And this, we people have to like, work a long way on this too. And according to Stanford's research, they said that there was a lot of improvement. Next, toxicity is a problem. So, toxicity issue is a never-ending story, and people still have to go walk a long way toward this. And there's a lot of research being conducted worldwide, and there will be a lot of progress in the future. Next question is there are a lot of drugs in the world, and is it possible for AI to recommend proper drug to patients? I would say the answer is neutral. So, based on gene information or other information, based on all the information, AIs would recommend drugs. But about 2 years ago, there was this research. Cancer is a disease occurred from gene change. So you can define patients by gene changes. Then, when cancer patients have their gene change, then would it be possible to recommend a drug based on the gene change? It could be meaningful. And if you take a look at this science research paper, in order to avoid antibiotics side effects, what kind of recommendation should be made? Can be found from this research paper. Next issue is COVID-19. So COVID-19, when it was a very aggressive disease some years ago in the UK, because people were dying so many people were losing their lives, so they conducted collaboration research, and they wanted to save lives. And what kind of measures should they take? And they found out that there was baricitinib. This medicine was originally rheumatoid arthritis treatment, but they chose to use this for COVID-19 treatment to decrease its toxicity. And next is new drug development. This is a tough question. So, is there an efficient way to handle data related to new drug development? According to recent bodies of research, here it says extending the small molecule similarity principle to all levels of biology with the chemical checker. And there are 25 different aspects, 25 different approaches, considering embedding factor, which is an artificial jargon. So what really matters here is so far there was chemical space genetics. We used to use this term, but we actually didn't know how to calculate the data exactly. But now we are able to calculate them in a detailed way. So probably in the near future, we'll be able to calculate genetic information as well. So in that regards, when you consider embedding space or R&D or one class boundary among others, gene or other technologies, if we people successfully develop this, then if we come up with efficient data in the past, and if when this inefficient dose of medicine is injected to patients, what is going to happen, or AI building virtual space data, among other research are being conducted. And so, are Korean companies working on developing new drugs? If you would ask, recently, the Korea pharmaceutical biochemistry industry recently opened AI New Drug Development Support Center. And recently, and our plan is to reorganize MOGHAM Institute for Biomedical Research into Artificial Intelligence New Drug Development Research Center. So we are planning to separate the public health research department and AI-oriented department. So since April 1st, I have been president of this AI New Drug Development Research Center department. So I said converging different fields is really difficult, as I said in the early part of my presentation. And there's Green Cross,
인공지능
and there's some AI new drug development department. If we successfully transform this, and as I work at Seoul National University, if we connect this SNU with other networks, and if we successfully come up with an interdisciplinary approach, then it will be meaningful. So we are currently working on this. And the last one, the discussion as a section, including Merck and Pfizer. Even if you include Merck or Pfizer, there's no clear fast runner in AI-oriented new drug developed. So if we successfully take an approach here, and if we immensely foster this, then there is a chance that we become a first mover, because Korea is a powerhouse for chemistry. And back in my university years, chemistry was so popular. And there are a lot of chemistry scholars, like specialists in Korea, and their AI technology is really advanced in Korea. And Korea, the country itself, has a very small territory. So if we come up with a very dense approach, and then AI-oriented development and new drug development will, of course, cure a lot of people, and it will contribute a lot to the society. Thank you.